Heartwarming rescue. Little girl abandoned at 7 on wedding day discovers amazing new life with Mark. Lucy sat quietly in the back pew of the small, rustic church, her tiny hands clutching a crumpled tissue. Her heart felt like a stone, sinking deeper with every graceful step her mother took, adorned in an ethereal white gown. Whispers of joy surrounded her. Flowers cascaded down the aisle as her mother smiled brightly at the congregation. But Lucy's eyes, wide with confusion, sparkled with tears. Why was this a day for celebration when her heart felt so completely shattered? She wished to celebrate, but instead, she felt abandoned, a forgotten shadow in a moment meant for light. The townsfolk beamed as the music swelled, but to Lucy, it was a hollow echo. Questions spiraled through her mind. Did her mother not see her? Did she not care? As Lucy watched the woman who had always been her son take a step away from her, she felt cold, as if a veil had dropped, separating her from everything she once knew. This was supposed to be a family moment. Instead, it became a cruel reminder of the family she lost. Days turned into weeks, and whispered judgment followed Lucy, like a dark cloud. In the middle of her isolation, Mark appeared. A ruggedly kind mechanic with gentle hands and a warm grin, he showed up on her street just after the wedding. His own demons softened when he met Lucy. He took her into his workshop, surrounded by tools and spare parts, a world bursting with potential. He taught her how to fix things, turning their bruised hearts into engines of hope. But the schoolyard was less forgiving. Abandon Lucy, they called her, their laughter sharp like glass. Each taunt cut deeper than the last. Mark, who fought his own battles against the scorn of the townsfolk, tried to shield her from the pain. He encouraged her, his steady presence like an anchor. "You're not alone, Lucy," he reminded her. "We can build our own family." But the shadows of judgment loomed. Trouble brewed like a thunderstorm when an anonymous tip arrived for child services. The town's gossip swirled, fueling the fire of cruelty. Mark and Lucy were questioned and scrutinized. Mark felt the grip of despair, as if he were back in the war, fighting for every breath. He had found a purpose in Lucy, but the community was fraying with mistrust. With hearts pounding, Mark understood they had to face this together. He stood in front of the gathering of the town, his voice unwavering. "I'm here for Lucy, for her future," he declared, firmly holding onto her small hand. "Let us teach her that family isn't about blood. It's about love, resilience, and second chances." Silence fell, but beneath it was the stirring of something hopeful. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As Mark finished, Lucy could feel the rising swell of emotion. Hope flickered, piercing through the darkness. But would the town see beyond their prejudices? Would they embrace her? The air thickened with uncertainty as their future hung in the balance. The storm was just beginning. Lucy held her breath. The silence pressed down, heavy and thick. She looked at the faces of the townsfolk, her heart racing. Some stared back with wide eyes, surprised by Mark's boldness. Others whispered among themselves, skepticism etched in their expressions. Would they truly listen? Would they see her for who she was now, and not just as the child left behind on a day meant for love? In that moment, Lucy felt a spark of something new: courage. She squeezed Mark's hand tighter, finding comfort in his sturdy grip. As she stole glances at the crowd, she saw the first flickers of doubt in their eyes, perhaps even a hint of empathy. "Please." Lucy's voice broke through the tension. "I just want a home." The words slipped out before she could fully grasp their weight. It was a simple plea, yet it held all her fears and dreams. She could feel her cheeks grow warm as the murmurs shifted. Mark knelt beside her, his eyes searching hers with fierce determination. Lucy is not just some abandoned girl, he said, his voice steady and supportive. She is a bright light. Together, we can shine in this town. His words wrapped around her like a blanket. It was then that Lucy noticed a familiar face in the crowd, Mrs. Thompson, the kindly librarian. Lucy had spent many afternoons curled up with books in that tiny library, dreaming away realities. Mrs. Thompson's eyes softened, and she stepped forward. "We all make mistakes," she called out, her voice steady. "But Lucy deserves a chance. We should lift her up, not push her down." The ripple of agreement stirred through the gathered crowd. Whispers of approval broke out among some of the townsfolk, faces moving from skepticism to contemplation. For the first time, Lucy dared to hope. But doubt still gnawed at her. The townspeople couldn't just change overnight, could they? Memories of her mother's abandonment resurfaced in her mind, a specter lurking in the corners, threatening to drag her back into darkness. Just then, a sharp voice sliced through the air. It was Gary, the town bully, who had tormented her daily at school. "What do you know about family? You're just a mistake," he jeered, laughter bubbling up from his group of friends. Mark stood up, fists clenching. "She is not a mistake. She's a survivor. If you think family isn't about love, you're the ones who have lost your way." The anger in Mark's voice cut through the tension with an electric charge, but Lucy felt a swell of fear. "Maybe I am a mistake," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. Mark's eyes met hers, and in that moment, he understood her doubts. "No, Lucy, listen to me." He crouched beside her again, pulling her into a gentle embrace. "You're not. You're my family. And you're so much more. You're brave and wonderful." His warmth seeped into her bones, pushing away the shadows of her past. As the cheers of support grew, Lucy felt a flicker of defiance blossom inside her, kindled by Mark's unwavering faith. This might not be the end of her struggles, but it was a beginning, and she could fight for this chance. Perhaps, just perhaps, the town could learn what it meant to embrace her. Then, she spotted a figure emerging from the back, her mother. Lucy's heart pounded, a cacophony of emotions raging through her. Had she come to take her back? Or maybe judge her anew? But as their eyes locked in a stunned moment, Lucy couldn't look away. In that electrifying instant, the future felt more uncertain than ever. What would happen next? Could she confront the mother who had walked away? The crowd seemed to hold its collective breath, awaiting whatever came next. With her heart caught between hurt and hope, Lucy stood a little taller. Would she find the strength to face her past? Or would the resurfacing of her mother shatter the fragile trust she had built with Mark? The answers loomed just ahead, waiting to be discovered. Lucy's pulse quickened as her mother approached, each step echoing with the weight of her absence. The hushed crowd felt like an ocean of expectant faces, their curiosity mingling with the tightness in her chest. Memories crashed like waves, hot afternoons spent alone, a faded scent of perfume lingering in empty rooms, her mother's laughter that had slowly turned into silence. "Mom?" The word slipped out before she could stop it. A mix of anger and longing tightened Lucy's throat. How could she show up now? After all these years, did she think she could simply walk back into Lucy's life? Her mother hesitated, a flicker of uncertainty crossing her features. The once glamorous woman who had left so abruptly looked smaller in the heavy atmosphere that surrounded them. The weight of her absence loomed large. Lucy couldn't help but note the lines etched into her mother's face, the weariness in her eyes, probing like echoes of the past. Lucy, her mother's voice was fragile, as if the very sound could shatter. "I've missed you." The crowd grew still, caught in the tension of this fraught reunion. Mark's comforting presence felt like an anchor beside her, but now, that anchor was threatened by a storm. "Missed me?" Lucy snapped, harsher than she meant to. "You left me." The words tumbled out, raw and unfiltered, laced with all the years of confusion, abandonment, and hurt. "You chose to walk away, Mom." "I needed you then. I needed a mother, not just an excuse." Her words struck, and the murmurs of support began to shift. Lucy saw the reflection of her own loathing in the eyes of Gary and his friends. They had bided their time, but now were momentarily silenced, caught off guard by the fierceness of her pain. For a split second, her mother seemed to lose herself. Lucy saw a sting of regret flash through her eyes, the weight of her choices settling in. "I thought," she began, her voice trembling, "I thought leaving would be better for you." "I was better for me?" Lucy interrupted, incredulity rising in her voice. Her heart pounded, each beat laced with frustration and longing. "I don't want your reasons. I wanted a chance to have a home, something real." Mark leaned closer, sensing her resolve build, his hand still firmly holding hers. "You are strong, Lucy," he whispered earnestly, grounding her in that moment. Then, her mother stepped forward, desperation etched on her face. "Please, just let me explain. I don't need your explanations," Lucy shot back, emotions swirling inside her like a tornado. "I need you to face what you did. I spent every night wondering why you didn't want me." Her voice wavered, but determination surged as she fought to not show vulnerability. "You hurt me the most, and then you vanished." The crowd bristled. One by one, faces softened as they began to see Lucy for who she had become, a warrior fighting for her place in the world. "I'm not that little girl anymore," Lucy continued, her voice steady. "I have Mark, I have the library, I've found friends who care. I have a chance to build my own life. You may find me here today, but this," she looked around, "is my home now." Gasps echoed through the crowd. Mark stood behind her, pride reflecting in his eyes. "Lucy, please," her mother's voice quavered, tears glistening. As despair flickered across her mother's face, a part of Lucy softened. Could she really turn her back on the woman who had brought her into this world? But could she forgive her too? The world of emotions threatened to engulf her again, yet she stood her ground. "Maybe I don't want you in my life anymore," Lucy said softly, guilt tugging at her heart. But just then, a voice from the crowd interrupted her moment of vulnerability, a woman from town. "Lucy, you're not alone." Her voice rang through the air, uniting the townspeople into a chorus of support. "We believe in you. We see who you are." Other voices joined in, echoing their belief, lifting her up, reaffirming her strength. As Lucy scanned the crowd, she saw faces that no longer looked skeptical. They were like candles shining against the shadows of her past, brightening her way forward. All at once, her mother stepped back, the realization of her daughter's resilience hitting hard. I understand," she whispered, retreating into the crowd of staring townsfolk. Lucy felt a surge of confidence, sorrow still bubbling beneath the surface, but overshadowed by a growing warmth. "I deserve more than just her words," she affirmed to herself aloud. "I deserve to be seen." Would this moment lead the townspeople to embrace her fully? What would her mother do now that she had faced the consequences of her choices? The questions hung in the air, as heavy as the silence that continued to envelop them. It was all unfolding like a wildflower pushing through concrete. And Lucy, filled with a strange mixture of hope and uncertainty, felt ready for whatever might come next. All that remained was the question that loomed, electrifying in her veins: could she finally build the life she had always dreamed of, even if her past still haunted her? The murmurs of the crowd washed over Lucy, like a wave finding its shore. She stood there, a sense of belonging wrapping around her like a cloak. The crowd began to disperse slowly, their quiet encouragement floating in the air. They were no longer just spectators to her life. They were a part of it, weaving their belief into the fabric of her new reality. Mark remained close, his presence a gentle reminder of the warmth that came from support, a stark contrast to the isolation she often felt. "You were incredible," he said, his voice firm yet tender. "I'm proud of you." Her heart swelled at his words, a mixture of disbelief and elation flooding her chest. But beneath that joy lay shadows. Her mother's hesitant retreat nagged at her, and Lucy couldn't shake the feeling of unresolved tension. She turned to follow her mother's figure through the crowd, but the moment dissolved, the space filling with smaller conversations and laughter. "Lucy!" A familiar voice called, yanking her attention back. It was Claire, her best friend, rushing toward her.
You did it.
I saw how you stood up to her. It was amazing. But even the praise couldn't fully quiet the storm inside her. She glanced back toward the direction her mother had moved. I don't want to miss this chance, she said, more to herself than to Claire. Hey, let us grab some ice cream or something. Clear your mind, Claire suggested, pulling her gently. Lucy hesitated, torn. What if her words trailed off? But the implication was clear. She'll be okay, Lucy. You were strong. You showed her what you've become. Claire urged, leading her away as if trying to physically pull Lucy from the weight of her memories. As they walked, the chatter around them transformed into laughter, a symphony of celebration that was oddly mixed with an underlying tension Lucy didn't quite understand. Was it possible to feel relief and sorrow in the same breath? Moments passed, the two friends stopping at the local ice cream shop, the air filled with sweet, creamy scents. Claire ordered first, her chatter bubbling up as she animatedly shared plans for the upcoming school dance. Trying to match her enthusiasm, Lucy nodded, but a sense of emptiness lingered. As the ice cream melted slowly in her hand, Lucy couldn't escape the questions that danced just beyond her reach. What if her mother came back wanting to talk? What if they could find some sort of understanding? Did Lucy even want that? Hey, you're awfully quiet, Claire said, her brow furrowing with concern. It's like you're somewhere else. Lucy sighed, the weight of her choices pressing down like a heavy backpack. I just can't stop thinking about her, Claire. What if she really means it? What if we could try again? You deserve to know the truth, Claire said gently. But you control your story now, Lucy. Don't let her write it for you. You need to decide what you want. Chills traveled down Lucy's spine. The truth. It hung there like a tempting fruit out of reach, warm and vibrant, but also dangerous. Could she even confront the truth of their past with her mother? The question loomed larger in her mind. She took a deep breath, gripping the cone tighter. You're right. I can choose. I just need to figure out how. Lucy glanced up at the town square. The sun was setting, tendrils of gold painting the sky. She could feel change brushing against her skin, almost tangibly. Could it be a new beginning? Each step felt layered with possibility, but the shadows of her mother's absence still tugged at her heart.
But when?
When would she face her past again? With that thought echoing in her mind, Lucy felt a small spark ignite in her chest, a flicker of hope sneaking into her reasoning. Later that night, as darkness cloaked the town, Lucy squinted at her reflection in her bedroom window. It was time to decide, to understand, and maybe even to forgive. But first she needed to know if she could really open that door again. The questions pressed against her heart like a weight. Would she be strong enough to take that leap into the unknown? And as the moon shimmered overhead, Lucy clung to the notion that perhaps she was ready for whatever awaited her on the other side. Could she face her past without being swallowed by it? As the sun dipped below the horizon, Lucy felt the pull of her past growing stronger. The quiet in her room wrapped around her like an old, familiar blanket. Despite the evening's warmth, an icy chill crept into her heart as the doubts bubbled up. She turned away from the window, pushing thoughts of her mother to the back of her mind. Tonight was supposed to be about finding a way forward, about looking toward what lay ahead. That determination flickered within her again, fueled by Mark's earlier words. She thought of how he had witnessed her stand tall against the tide of her insecurities today. Just hours ago, she felt like she belonged, but now the shadows loomed large, whispering the fears she tried to suppress. Maybe I just need to call her, Lucy murmured to herself. The thought both excited and terrified her. What would she even say? How could she bridge the years of silence, the pain and confusion, with a simple phone call? She picked up her phone, her fingers hovering over the screen. Just as quickly, though, she tossed it back onto the bed. What if her mother didn't pick up? Or worse, what if she did? Steeling herself, Lucy took a deep breath and closed her eyes, trying to picture her mother's face. She remembered the warmth of her hug when she was little, the scent of her perfume, sweet yet wild. A mother who once promised to be there, yet had vanished. Lucy's heart twisted. Maybe it was that memory she clung to, the hope that once lost could somehow be regained. Suddenly, the silence of her room echoed with the tension of waiting. Her heart raced, charged with thoughts of her mother and the bittersweet yearning for connection. Just then, her phone chimed, slicing through the thick air. It was Claire checking in, giving Lucy a small nudge she didn't know she needed.
Hey.
Are you okay? Want to talk? The text read. A part of her felt grateful for the reminder of friendship, the anchor she needed. I'm here, she typed back. Without thinking, she added, can you come over? The reply was almost instant. On my way. Ice cream party? It will make everything better. Lucy couldn't help but smile. Maybe it wasn't about solving everything tonight. Maybe it was about feeling grounded, safe, and reminded of who she was outside the shadows of her past. A knock at the door sent a flurry of energy through her. Claire stepped in, her vibrant grin lighting up the room. You've got ice cream? Let us make this a celebration. In the flurry of laughter and the rustle of wrappers, the heaviness on Lucy's heart lightened just a bit. Let us make sundaes, Claire added, utterly unbothered by the depth of their earlier conversation. Lucy felt herself relax, her worries drifting away like dandelion seeds in a summer breeze. As they piled toppings high and scooped creamy sweets, Lucy shared bits and pieces of her worries. Claire listened intently, nodding. It sounds like you're ready to talk to her, she finally said, dipping a spoon into her masterpiece. You just have to take that first step. Lucy stared into her bowl, the mix of ice cream and toppings swirling together. Claire was right. To heal, to step forward, she had to face her fear. But what if things didn't go well? What if this was just opening a wound that could never heal? With each spoonful, Lucy felt a shift within her, a budding courage that glimmered like the stars outside. She didn't have to have all the answers tonight. Maybe, just maybe, she could navigate through uncertainty. But would she find the courage to pick up the phone and make that call? As the last dim light of daylight faded, leaving only the glow from her bedside lamp, Lucy realized tomorrow could be the day of her breakthrough, if she chose to face it head-on. How would she find the strength to connect the dots between her past and her future? The next morning dawned bright, a clear blue sky stretching endlessly above. Lucy sat on her bed, tangled in thoughts and sensations. The promise of a new day was like an electric buzz in her chest. Today could be the start of something profound, yet the weight of the unknown lingered heavy on her heart. She glanced at her phone on the bedside table, its brightness piercing through her hesitation. The number was right there, saved and waiting. Lucy ran her fingers over it, hesitating as memories flooded back. The laughter, the fights, the unyielding silence that followed. Each moment felt like a thread in a tapestry of emotions beautiful, painful, and entirely her own. Okay, she whispered, as if telling herself it was time. The ice cream sundaes with their sweet distraction were a mere backdrop now to the reality of her situation. Claire's words echoed in her ears. You just have to take that first step. It seemed simple in theory. The thought of hearing her mother's voice, however, brought a wave of nausea. What if the conversation unraveled everything? What if the warmth of memory dissipated, lost forever in the harsh light of reality? Lucy's thoughts were interrupted by the smell of coffee wafting through her window. Her neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, was already outside tending to her garden, humming a soft tune. Lucy smiled slightly, the mundanity of the scene grounding her. She took a deep breath, as if she could inhale some of that groundedness. Suddenly, fear gripped her again. A small part of her wanted to hide, to pull back into the shell of her worries. But she wouldn't let that happen.
Not today.
In a fit of determination, Lucy picked up her phone, her heart racing as she dialed the number. The sound of the ringing echoed through her room, each tone punctuating the silence, like a countdown.
1, 2,
3. Come on, she whispered to herself. And then it happened, a voice on the other end. Hello? Lucy's heart leapt into her throat. It was her mother. She could hardly breathe, words tangling in her throat like they were caught in a web of emotions. Mom, it's Lucy. There was a breathless pause. She could almost hear the other woman's heart racing. Lucy? Oh my God. The rush of uncertainty broke. Overwhelming emotions erupted inside her. The excitement mixed with sorrow and longing. I need to talk to you, she murmured, desperately searching for the right words amidst the flood.
Can we meet?
Her mother asked, her voice trembling.
I want to.
I've missed you. Lucy felt a lump in her throat. She didn't know how this would end. I've missed you too, more than you know, her mother replied, laced with something that sounded like regret. As they set a time and place, the promise of a reunion hung in the air, a window slowly opening after years of closure. When Lucy finally hung up, she felt the weight of the world lift slightly. But it was soon replaced by another wave of anxiety. Questions piled up, swirling in her mind. Would she even recognize her mother? How would they navigate the years apart? Would any of it even matter? Lucy took a moment to steady herself, glancing at her reflection in the mirror. There was fear in her eyes, but also something else. It was determination. She had made the first move. She was ready to face whatever came next. The clock ticked ominously, each second echoing the urgency of her next steps. As she looked outside, the sunlight glinted off a passing car, catching her attention like a spark. What if everything changed from here? What if this was the moment that set her life on a new course? Only time would tell. Lucy's phone buzzed again, and she couldn't help but wonder, was it a sign or simply a coincidence? With courage and uncertainty blossoming side by side, she knew today might help her unravel the mysteries that had long held her captive. Would she come to accept her past, or would it trap her further? Lucy felt a whirlwind of emotions as she prepared for her meeting. Every tick of the clock was a reminder of what was to come, sending sparkles of anxiety down her spine. She squeezed her eyes shut, recalling that day when everything had changed. She had been just a girl full of hope and laughter, and then it had all collapsed into silence. Today was different. With her heart pounding in her chest, she dressed purposefully. The simplicity of her jeans and sweater felt both casual and deliberate. This was not just a meeting, it was a chance to bridge a decade of silence, to confront the ghosts of their shared history. As she stepped out of her apartment, the brightness of the day washed over her, encouraging her forward. People bustled past, lost in their lives, and for a moment, the world felt like a mix of sound and color. She could hear laughter drifting from a nearby cafe, the clinks of coffee cups, and the honking of cars. It all felt strangely surreal, like she was living in a scene from a movie, where everything was heightened by her nervous anticipation. The cafe was cozy, filled with the aroma of freshly baked pastries. Lucy found a corner table, wiping her sweaty palms on her jeans, trying to appear collected. She could already picture her mother walking through the door, a stranger yet familiar, an embodiment of years of memories etched into her heart. Time crawled as the minutes slipped by painfully slow. She checked her phone, no messages. Was her mother backing out? Doubt crept in, thick and heavy. But just as she was about to convince herself to leave, the door swung open, and her mother stepped in. Lucy's breath hitched. She looked older, but still wore the same grace that had defined her essence. Her mother's eyes searched the room, and when they landed on Lucy, everything inside of her quieted for a brief moment. Time stood still as recognition blossomed between them, unspoken yet palpable. Lucy. Her mother's voice broke the fragile silence. It was a whisper, full of wonder and uncertainty. Mom. Lucy's voice was barely more than a breath. They moved toward each other, and the distance closed in an instant. Lucy felt her mother's warmth envelop her as they embraced, a rush of emotions flooding back years of longing, hurt, and the faintest spark of hope. I can't believe it's you, her mother said, her voice trembling. Lucy felt tears prick at her eyes, but she refused to let them fall just yet. After a moment, they settled into a tiny table, the awkwardness twirling around them like a dervish. Words came slowly, edged with hesitation as they navigated their new reality. I've missed you, Lucy stammered, her heart racing as she battled the vulnerability that threatened to spill out. I've thought about you every day, her mother replied. There was an honesty in her eyes that Lucy craved, the desire for forgiveness and connection. As they began to share their stories, what had happened, where life had taken them, the conversation ebbed and flowed like a fragile river. Lucy spoke about her childhood, her dreams, and the aching chasm of silence that had lingered too long. Each word felt like a bridge being built between them, stronger, deeper. Gradually, the ice began to melt, but just as Lucy thought they might truly connect, an unexpected silence settled. Her mother's gaze fell, a shadow passing over her face. There's something I need to tell you, something I haven't shared. Lucy's heart raced again. What could possibly complicate this fragile reunion even further? You deserve to know the truth about why I left, her mother said, her voice barely above a whisper, but heavy with weight. Lucy's stomach flipped. The warmth of their new connection felt threatened by an incoming storm. Mom, what do you mean? She pressed, bracing herself for the impact. This could change everything again. Would truth heal them, or would it shut the door they had barely cracked open? An electric tension filled the air. The moment of reckoning was here, and Lucy was terrified. Would she be ready for what her mother was about to unveil? The coffee cooled in front of her as she gripped the cup like a lifeline, waiting for her mother to take a deep breath. What if the truth shattered everything they had just begun to build? Lucy's eyes locked onto her mother's, searching for answers that felt just out of reach. There, in the delicate lines on her face and the tremor in her voice, Lucy recognized both her mother and a stranger. It was as if they were trying to navigate a path fraught with uncertainty. Lucy, the reason I left, it's complicated, her mother began, glancing around the cafe as if the walls themselves held secrets she was afraid to reveal. I wasn't just walking away from you. There were so many things happening in my life, things I didn't know how to handle. Lucy's heart tightened. The words hung heavy between them, laden with unsaid regrets. I don't understand. You just left, she replied, her voice cracking. Didn't you think I would want to know? Didn't you think about me? I thought about you every day, her mother affirmed, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. But at that moment, I thought leaving was protecting you. I didn't want you to see the mess I had become. Lucy shook her head, emotions raging like a storm inside her. Protecting me? You wanted to protect yourself. You left me, Mom. I was a child. I needed you. The silence stretched, each girl's hurt laid bare as they faced a truth more ominous than they both anticipated. Moments ticked by while they struggled under the weight of the past. I know, her mother murmured, the apology heavy in the air. I'm so sorry, Lucy. I wished I could take it all back. I thought you'd be better off. But I was wrong. Lucy stared blankly at her half-empty cup, the warmth now faded. What happened? What kind of mess were you in? The question was both accusatory and curious, a desperate attempt to grasp at the shattered pieces of their history. Her mother took a deep breath, a tremor running through her shoulders. Your father and I, we lost everything. We didn't just lose the house or the money. It was us, our relationship, our dreams. I fought him. I fought everything until the fight drained me. And then I became someone unrecognizable. The words poured out, soft yet powerful, and Lucy felt a strange mix of pity and anger swirl within her. It was a truth she could understand, but it didn't lessen the pain of abandonment she had lived with all this time. Did you ever love me? Even when you walked away? Her voice broke just above a whisper, vulnerability overwhelming her. Her mother reached out, almost touching Lucy's hand, hesitant yet desperate. With every ounce of my being. But I didn't know how to love you in the right way. I thought leaving would give you a better chance. Lucy felt the walls she had built begin to crack as a wave of emotion washed over her. But it didn't. I had to find my way alone. A fresh silence settled, filled with the scent of coffee and the distant laughter of patrons. The realities of their different lives now hung between them, filled not only with hurt but with an aching desire for understanding. Is there still a chance for us? Can we fix this? Her mother asked, desperation bleeding into her words as she searched Lucy's face for clues. Lucy's breath caught. Did she even want to try? Would reopening old wounds only lead to more pain? Time seemed to stretch. She glanced past her mother, watching couples share soft smiles and friends share laughter, and questioned whether they were those people again. What if it's too late? Lucy whispered, the uncertainty threatening to swallow her whole. Silence prevailed once again, pressing down as every possibility hung in the air. Could they truly uncover a new beginning from the rubble of the past, or was this just another moment of heartbreak disguised as hope? Before either could speak, a distant siren echoed through the streets outside, a reminder of life's unpredictability. It felt deafening, forcing them back into the reality of their situation. Lucy, her mother finally said, determination painting her voice, I will do whatever it takes to earn your trust back. I promise, but Lucy's next words dangled on the tip of her tongue, complicated by fear and longing. What if they were setting themselves up for another disappointment? What if this was simply another misguided attempt at reparation? As she watched the flickering candles on their table, she pondered what it meant to forgive. Was she ready to allow room for hope again? Mom? Lucy started, then paused, unsure of which path she wanted to take. A new direction unfolded before her. What would she choose? The cafe bustled around them, yet in that moment, it felt as if they were tucked away in a world of their own, shadows of the past swirling in the space between them. Lucy exhaled slowly, a mixture of anticipation and dread coiling in her chest. I don't know if I can believe that again, she finally managed, her voice wavering. Her mother's expression shifted, one of anguish flickering across her features. I understand. I hurt you, Lucy, and trust is something that's earned back. I know my words might not mean much after everything, but please, let me try. Just tell me what you need. Lucy closed her eyes for a moment, memories flooding back, childhood birthdays spent without her mom, school events she had attended alone, never knowing the little moments that would have made her feel whole. I need to know why you thought leaving was the best choice, she whispered. Did I not mean enough? Was I just an afterthought?
No.
You were everything, her mother exclaimed, her voice cracking. But I felt trapped. I believed that leaving was better, that you would never know the turmoil that had consumed me. I see now how foolish that was. She leaned forward, urgency in her plea. Just give me a chance to show you that I'm changed. I've fought to become a better person. I want to be the mother you deserve. As Lucy peered into her mother's eyes, she recognized the flicker of truth hidden deep there, a fragile resurgence of hope. But would it be enough to bridge the years of absence? Would she allow this stranger, who claimed to be her mother, back into her life? The air felt electric as Lucy considered her choices. An overwhelming mix of sadness, resentment, and a glimmer of desire to reconnect swirled within her. What do you expect from me? She asked, her heart racing. Her mother took a breath, her hands trembling. I expect you to be honest with me, to tell me what you need and how you feel. We can move forward, but it has to be on your terms. I'm ready to listen, even if it hurts, even if it's hard. Lucy swallowed hard. The weight of her words felt heavier than lead. I'm angry at you. I need you to know that. Her mother's face fell, but she gave a slight nod. I'm angry with myself too. I'm learning there's no easy way through this. But it starts with honesty, doesn't it? They sat in silence again, but this time it felt different. For the first time, they were united in their shared pain, staring at the jagged remnants of their past while contemplating the flickering candlelight of a potential future. Lucy let out a shaky laugh. You speak like you're a therapist or something. Her mother cracked a fragile smile, the kind that made her look a little more like the woman Lucy remembered. Maybe I should be pursued that career instead? I have no idea if I want you in my life again. This is all just so messy, Lucy admitted, her voice barely a whisper. And messy is where it all begins, her mother replied earnestly. If you choose to, this could be the start of healing for both of us. Lucy's heart leapt into her throat as she considered that idea. The scars from the past didn't just vanish, but perhaps, just perhaps, they could learn to navigate the chaos hand in hand. But as they exchanged tentative glances, Lucy couldn't shake the feeling that the past still loomed large. A part of her felt like it was all happening too fast. "I'll think about it," she finally said, a sliver of uncertainty creeping in. Her mother nodded, understanding that trust couldn't be forced or rushed. Yet as the cafe's warmth surrounded them, Lucy felt that perhaps the biggest questions still lingered. What if letting this woman back into her life would mean not only forgiveness, but also being faced with the truth of her own neglected emotions? And as those thoughts swirled in her mind, she realized the biggest hurdles still lay ahead. Would she ultimately allow herself to embrace the possibility of a relationship that might bring both pain and joy? She wished she could see the entire path illuminated before her, but in that moment, all she could do was whisper, "Mom." The emotions swirled in the air, as palpable as the steam rising from the coffee cups. Lucy felt the weight of her past, the fears, and the guarded heartache, the fractured relationship with the mother who had stepped away. Yet here they were, each looking for a light to guide them through the darkness that lingered. Lucy, her mother, spoke again, her voice soft, filled with that same urgency. "I want to make this work. Let us not rush into anything. We can take it one step at a time. I just want to be part of your life again." The sincerity in her mother's voice resonated with Lucy, echoing against the walls of her guarded heart. There was a desire for connection that was undeniable, and yet doubts still nipped at her heels. "But what if you leave again?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "What if I open up and then you vanish once more?" Her mother took a steadying breath. "I don't intend to vanish again. I need you to know that. It may take time, but I'm willing to fight for us." The conviction in her mother's eyes caught Lucy off guard. Was this truly the woman she longed for? She stared at the untouched coffee, deep brown with cream swirling inside it, reminded her of their tangled history, bittersweet yet resolvable. With a steadying breath, she began to untangle her own thoughts. "I want to believe you," she said, finally raising her gaze. "But I can't ignore the pain of what happened. Believe me, I know." "I live with that pain too," her mother whispered, her eyes glistening with unshed tears, each drop holding years of regret. "I want to mend our bond, but I also understand if you need time or boundaries. I will respect whatever you need." Lucy began to feel the walls surrounding her heart crumble just a little. It was perhaps the first time they were not just mother and daughter, but two souls trying to piece together a shared narrative that felt painfully disconnected. Would her heart be capable of forgiveness? "I'm going to need time," she replied softly, but it felt like a weight being lifted from her chest. "And I'm still angry. I want to hide that. I didn't just lose a mother. I lost a part of myself." "That's fair," her mother said, her voice steady, wrapping around Lucy like a hug, even though the distance between them remained. "I shattered your trust, and it might take more than time to restore it. But I want to help you heal if you'll let me." The vulnerability in that moment hung in the air, charged with emotions that were both exhilarating and terrifying. Navigating the tumult of joy and pain felt like walking a tightrope, but Lucy suddenly knew she had to try. Whether it would lead to healing, to renewed trust, or deeper wounds remained uncertain. "What if we just start by getting to know each other?" Lucy suggested, the idea blossoming in her mind. Not as mother and daughter, but as people trying to find their way. "Let us talk about our interests, our lives." Her mother's gaze lit up with a glimmer of hope, the shadow of cautiousness replaced with a spark of excitement. "I do love that. I want to hear your stories, your struggles, and learn about what makes you who you are today." In that moment, Lucy felt a flicker of warmth penetrate her heart again, a deviation from the loneliness that had taken root. After their coffee, they shared stories. Lucy talked about her friends and school. Her mother, hesitantly, shared the firm grip of her own struggles, her shortcomings, and how she found her way back. Each word was a stepping stone into their future. Hours melted away like ice in the sun. Laughter, shared memories, and breakthroughs began to stitch together the gaping wounds of the past. The connection between them felt tender, new, yet rooted in shared histories. Lucy could rarely recall a time when she felt so close to someone she had feared. The truth unraveled, and while it was still messy, it didn't shield her from hope. Perhaps this was the beginning of a new season, albeit fragile and uncertain. They wrapped up their meeting, with tentative smiles crossing their faces. As they stepped outside, golden sunshine flooded the world, and Lucy finally felt a change in the air. The barriers she had once erected were still there, but they wobbled. "I'll call you, Mom," she said, testing the words like they were fresh notes on a scale. It felt significant, possibly a leap into the winds of possibility. Her mother's face lit up, hope blooming beautifully, incredible and free. "I'll be waiting, Lucy. Always." And as they parted ways at the curb, Lucy couldn't help but smile. This was not the end or a perfect resolution, but a commencement, a path paved with uncertainty, yet brimming with a chance for growth. Each step forward felt like a page turning, as if she were finally the author of her own story. The journey wasn't linear, it was layered with unexpected detours, but it became clear that she could write a new narrative. It was one of healing, one of transformation fueled not just by pain, but by the tenacity to forge ahead, to embrace love, and to reclaim the pieces of herself long thought lost. As Lucy walked away, the golden light kissed her skin, wrapping around her like a protective shroud. Maybe, just maybe, she would find her way back to the love she had yearned for, not just with her mother, but within herself. And each day would be a new chapter full of endless possibilities. And so began Lucy's journey, a journey of rediscovery, hope, and an unyielding belief that family, whether born or chosen, could triumph in the face of adversity. This was just the start, but she felt ready. The universe was open, and so was she. If you felt that powerful shift too, don't wait another moment. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm and help spread the word of hope and transformation. Comment your feelings and reactions about Lucy's remarkable journey. We want to hear what you think. And remember to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation and know they too can forge ahead with courage. Don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.